Bitcoin could be getting ready to surprise you and everyone else. You see, Bitcoin has been moving sideways, consolidating for more than 200 days. It seems very boring. It seems very methodical. We're all waiting for our favorite altcoins to explode. We're wondering, when is this thing going to move? Well, Bitcoin is showing some very early signs that it's on the verge of making one of its biggest moves in the past 200 plus days. Take a look. Down here, the Stochastic RSI had a cross up, which typically happens every 6 months. However, there is some trouble brewing. We're going to get the latest on that. Middle of our screen, RSI broke out of a multi-100-day trend line, showing some early signs that things are about to break. And then price action holding support above this moving average, which could be critical. We've just shown some key signals in price action that we haven't shown in a couple hundred days. The market is heating up, and the biggest question on everybody's mind, which way is this thing going to break? In today's video, we're going to give the latest and greatest, including all of the facts you need to know happening right now before your eyes. Let's get into it. Hi, I'm Steve. I quit my job over 13 years ago, been traveling the world since, thanks to my trading and investing skills. Join me for sponsorship-free TA with genuine value that actually works. Subscribe. Here we are, Bitcoin US dollar index, and we are on the weekly chart. Welcome back to you and everyone else. Let's jump straight into price action, because in this video, we're going to break down 3 components. We're going to start with price action. Then we're going to jump to the middle of our screen, the RSI, this breakthrough that just happened. However, we have the RSI pointing down. What's going on? We're going to cover that. Also, bottom of our screen, Stochastic RSI. Are we about to have another fake out? We're going to get to that. Also, a little bit later in the show, I want to show you something, but you better be sitting down. You're probably not going to like it. It's probably going to make you pretty angry, but I love the charts more than anything, and I found a similar pattern to what is happening right now before our eyes and what happened back here in 2018. You're not going to love what I'm going to have to say, but it's going to be based purely on facts. I'm going to show you that a little bit later, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Let's start with price action. Now, let's keep in mind, we have a green arrow or price action. We have a yellow arrow or caution with the RSI, and we have a yellow arrow or caution with the Stochastic RSI. Let's start with our green arrow, shall we? Let's start with some good news. So with our good news, you can see Bitcoin has been range bound inside of this range for more than 200 days, right? We've had our top at about 74K, and we had the bottom of the structure at about, a better one would be 50, although the bodies of the candles are illustrating 54. You want to talk about the wick at 50, it supports this market structure back here. And we're going to talk about, what could be the worst case of this range bound action as well. Markets move in 2 ways, right? They're either trending, either a strong trend up or a strong trend down, or range bound. Now, when you look at the history of the market, range bound just means it's moving sideways, building essentially market structure for the next move. Typically, Bitcoin is range bound. Typically, Bitcoin is relatively boring. Bitcoin generally makes up all of its gains in just about 30 to 33 days out of the whole calendar year. Now, you may be thinking, oh my God, I'm in trades, I'm out of trades, and then I'm in trades, and then I'm out of trades, then I'm in trades. But that's not the right approach. Based on factual evidence, Bitcoin will make up something like 90% of its gains in just 30 to 31 days. You have to understand that it's a very bad strategy to be in trades, out of trades, in trades, out of trades, in trades, out of trades, when the high majority of the time Bitcoin is moving sideways, and then it surprises everybody and shoots up really quick, and you could miss out on all of those gains time and time and time and time and time again, trying to time the market, right? Instead, I want you to take a deep breath and be level-headed. You have to remember, Rookie traders, beginner traders are trying to time the absolute best time to get in and the absolute best time to get out, and they think they can outsmart the market, which never happens. And professional traders are not trying to do that at all. They're trying to minimize their risk first and foremost, and then they think about maximizing the reward, but only after the market confirms, which is when they've already missed out on a lot of profits. But professional traders don't care about the profits. They care first about minimizing risk, which beginner traders have no concept of what that even means because they're so curious to get in and out and try to time the market, right? So I want you to stay level-headed. Whatever the high majority of people are doing in crypto, try to do the exact opposite. When you see Grandma Betty, the leader of the herd, screaming to buy, run the other way. It's that simple. Tilt your phone to the side and subscribe. So the majority of the time, Bitcoin is moving sideways, like earlier in the bear market when we moved sideways for about 200 days. This became relatively boring. Everybody was wondering what's going on. And then out of nowhere, we shot up from about 25 to 74, right? That's how these things work. But if you look at it, we had a stochastic RSI cross, right? Which typically happens every 6 months. So when you understand the charts, things become a little bit easier and more straightforward, and there's less guessing and there's more focused strategy. Now, when you look at it, you can see with price action, we have this green line on our chart, right? If you're relatively new to our channel, welcome. This is called the simple moving average. I want you to put this on your chart for the weekly chart and keep it there for years and years and years to come and watch how simple this is. When we're in a bear market, like we were here, we hold the 21 SMA as resistance. You can see the entirety of the bear market resistance. During bull markets, we hold this 21 SMA as support. It's a really, really simple, straightforward tool to put on your charts that's completely free that will keep you level-headed and not wondering, oh my God, are we going up? Are we going down? Are we going up? In, out of trade, in, out of trades. You're level-headed, everybody's good. Typically, in a bull market, you would buy when we touch this 21 SMA. And typically in a bear market, you would sell when we have resistance at this 21 SMA. Just again, a simple strategy to help you win more and lose less, which is why you just subscribed. It's finally something you understand. You've been looking everywhere. Here you are. You hit the subscribe button. Welcome in. Now, this 21 SMA, what is it saying right now? Because Bitcoin has just done something with this candle right here that's hot off the press that we haven't done in a very long time, since way back here in June of 2024. We just had our second candle in a row close as support on this 21 SMA. Now keep in mind, SMA stands for simple moving average. There's a lot of kinds and types of moving averages. This is the simple one, right? We'll get more into the differentiation between the moving averages in future videos, but for now, just understand simple moving average, green line, we're good. We just had the second body of our candle confirm, meaning we had 1 week here, September 23, and then we had our second one, September 30th. Both closed as support, which means the body of the candle is above the 21 SMA. This is good news. We literally haven't done that since these two candles, right? Now you may say, well, what about these ones here? Well, these ones here didn't have the body as support. We had the body in between support and resistance, right? We technically had this candle is the only other one in this whole flux of candles here that actually confirmed as support. The rest were quite literally either resistance or we had two candles that were basically in between, split decision. So this is good news for Bitcoin. At the same time that we had some support, we have a wick to the downside, which we know on this channel, we talk a lot about the wicks, especially on higher time frames like the weekly chart. On this higher time frame, whenever you have a wick to the downside, it means one thing and one thing only. You have momentum to the upside. It means that price came down here into just below 60,000, but then was bought up hence the wick. And then we closed as support with this green line, which is really good. In other words, during the week, Bitcoin's candle came all the way down here. In the middle of the week, it looked like this was an enormous red, big bodied candle. It looked like we were in ridiculous trouble. That's why you wait until the end of the week for the candle to close. And at the end of the week, we had the middle of the week bought up and bought up heavy from below 60K up above this moving average, and then it closed up there. That's really bullish. This is not a prediction. That's just a bona fide fact. If you're new to this channel, we talk about cold, hard facts. We don't make all of these wild predictions and try to get a bunch of clicks. We talk about cold, hard facts so that you have more knowledge. You come here, you learn, and then you go back, you study the charts, and you're more level-headed with your buys and sells, and hopefully you make less buys and sells, and you make better buys and sells and more knowledgeable approach to trading, as opposed to, well, I think it's going to go up, I'm going to buy. And then the market turns against you and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to sell. And then it flips again and you're like, what do I do? I was just wrong twice in a row. This is ridiculous. I'm probably going to be right on the third one. And then you're wrong again. You're like, oh my God, what is going on? Well, what's going on is you're just plain guessing. It's not based on facts or any sort of strategy. It's based on hopium, which you're going to watch this channel. You just subscribe and it will help you out tremendously. This candle, you can see, has a pretty big wick to the upside right now. But we're cool, calm, and collective. We're in the middle of this close, right? This has not closed yet. So we need to wait until Sunday, 11:59 p.m. UTC time, when this actually closes. Right now, we're not concerning ourselves with all of this noise. That's what it is. The day-to-day movements of Bitcoin is pure noise. Tilt your phone to the side and subscribe. What we've got on our side, 2 candles in a row holding support. We're range bound between these price actions. And you may say, well, man, I wish I would have known that all of this nonsense was going to happen more than 200 days ago, right? Maybe when we were back here at about 74K. Well, when we were back here, the market was on fire and literally everybody was looking at one price and one price only, 100K Bitcoin. And they thought it would happen within days, maximum a week, that we would have 100K Bitcoin. We were in the midst of a bull and we were in a parabolic move to the upside. And we sat right here in this chair. And this is what we had to say about the market at that time. Roll the clip. Attention cryptocurrency investors and traders. There is a major correction coming to the crypto space. So in that clip, you can see, and you can go back and watch the video. We warned about a pretty large correction or a large crash coming, a big curveball thrown into the mix. And we haven't even touched 74K since then, and we haven't gotten close. That was more than 200 days ago. Not 2 days ago, not 20 days ago, 200, more than 200, right? So on this channel, we don't think about making all of these small calls. We only think about big calls that will really help people. So that's price action. Price action is still range bound, but showing good signs with holding that as support. 2 candles in a row, first time since June of this year. Now keep in mind, a little bit later in the show, I need to present some potentially devastating news, but I found something in the charts that's relative to what we were doing in 2018 with this green box and this green box, as well as this green box and the RSI compared to this green box here. Stay tuned for that. You're going to want to be wanting to be sitting down for that. RSI, keep in mind, RSI represents overbought and oversold. We are overbought when Bitcoin is technically above 70 on the RSI, and we are oversold when Bitcoin is technically below 30. You may think like, oh my God, you mean when we're down here, people are selling like crazy? Yeah, unfortunately, that's when we have the lowest prices, when the most humans are selling Bitcoin. Why are they selling? They're in trades, they're out of trades, they're in trades, they're out of trades, and they usually get in a trade and then the market flips and they're like, oh my God, I'm going to sell. And historically, humans are really bad with gauging emotion when it comes to money. Humans and money have never gotten along. Humans are just too emotional and ridiculously greedy, which is why the high majority of traders are in trades, out of trades. Then the market flips on them and they're like, oh my God, I'm going to win the next trade. And then the market flips and goes the opposite again. And like, oh my God, I lost 2 in a row. I'm going to win the third one. And they're so emotionally driven that the market always wins. Plain and simple, right? Men lie, women lie. The charts don't lie. When you're low in the RSI, it's time to buy, plain and simple. And when you're high in the RSI, it's time to sell. When we were up there at 74, when we said a big crash was coming, we were at one of the highest levels of the RSI in the history of Bitcoin. We said repeatedly, you can count it on your hands how many times we had been that overbought in the history of Bitcoin. People were still buying like crazy. Grandma Betty, the leader of the herd, was standing at the top of the mountaintop with her megaphone screaming to buy Bitcoin. It was, everybody was saying 100K was just around the corner. That's when you want to be nervous. When everyone starts saying the same thing, that's scary. They'll say it as if it's a certainty. They'll usually say it at market tops and bottoms. That's when they say it with the most conviction. Normally at a market bottom, they will scream that we're going a lot lower, but they will say it with conviction and everyone will be saying the same thing. It's unfortunate, which is why this channel exists. I was one of those people 2 decades ago, 20 years ago. I was the worst trader on planet Earth. I was horrific. I had started in the stock market back in high school, and I thought I was hot. You know what? I thought I really knew what I was doing. Turns out I was an idiot. And I learned so much from all of my painful mistakes that I believe wholeheartedly that I'm put here on planet Earth to help you not make all of those ridiculous mistakes that I did for years. It took me years to really wake up and smell the roses. Years. And I don't want that to happen to you, which is the only reason I'm here. That's it. So when you look at it, RSI, overbought, oversold, was one of the highest levels when we were at 74K. And people were still screaming 100K. And since then, we had a lower high, another lower high, another lower high, another lower high. And then we broke out. We broke out of a 200-day trend line. Anytime you draw a trend line, you can draw on any time frame. The 5-minute chart, the 1-hour chart, the 1-day chart, the 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, it doesn't matter. What you want to do with any trend line is connect 3 touch points. That's it. Connect 3 touch points and you have yourself a trend line. If you connect 3 touch points and you have multiple hundreds of days of action in front of you and you touch 3 touch points, that is a momentum shift when you break through. Plain and simple. This is not a prediction. Oh my God, Bitcoin's going to the moon. These are cold hard facts. We had a multi-100-day trend line with multiple touch points, far more than 3, and we broke through. Plain and simple, right? This is a sign, an early sign that big things potentially are coming. But hold your horses. Right now, we have the RSI pointing down. Is this a concern? No. The short answer is no. We had our previous swing high from August 19th. We technically had a higher high. Now, this is the early sign of a trend reversal. I just said we had continuous lower highs. What you need for a trend reversal is a higher high followed by a higher low. Right now, we are trying to make a higher low. Our previous swing low was right here at this yellow line, which is something we do not want to break. If we break this yellow line, we will add multiple months of recovery to what is happening right now in Bitcoin. This would be devastating. In other words, we spent the last 2 years building a bull market, all of which happened above this yellow line. All of our market structure is at this yellow line and above. If we were to break this yellow line, we would technically be taking 2 years of a bull run and throwing in the garbage. We don't want that to happen. This yellow line, by the way, is at 44.44. Easy to remember. Put it on your charts, watch it like a hawk. Now, what Bitcoin is trying to do is we made our first higher high. Great. Silent round of applause. How about a golf clap for Bitcoin? It has to make a higher low, meaning higher than 44.44. If it does, it's going to need to come back up and make a second consecutive higher high. If it does, that's a technical trend reversal. By all definitions, that's a technical trend reversal. Tilt your phone to the side and subscribe. In other words, you've seen Bitcoin's price go down since 74,000. It's the RSI that's starting that shift of making a trend reversal. Okay, so that's what we're looking for in the RSI. Bottom of our screen, Stochastic RSI. And this is where things get interesting. You can see that the bottom of our screen, we have a yellow arrow. And the only reason why is we're showing some very early signs that this could be another fake out. We had a fake out cross here back in June, another one back in July, and we're in the midst of potentially a third consecutive, something that we haven't seen since back in 2018, which I'll show you in a minute. This is not good. There's no way around it. What we need to do is avoid that, right? The only way to do that is have this blue line start pointing back upwards. But right now, it's kind of indecisive, right? And again, we're in the middle of the week, so we need to wait until Sunday, 11:59 UTC time, to see what's happening. So what does all this mean? Price action, we've got some bullishness, green arrow. We have RSI, we have a yellow arrow, we haven't confirmed higher low and a second consecutive higher high. What we don't want to do is cross below this yellow line or cross below this trend line. And the bottom of our screen, Stochastic RSI, our momentum. The only thing we want that thing to do is just keep pointing to the upside. So watch that on Sunday. Now, let's get to what we are going to compare with what happened in 2018 in here. I hope you're sitting down. Now, what we've seen is at 74, we had some problems. And since then, it's been a couple hundred days. And since then, we came back to test this little old yellow line. Well, we also did that back in 2018, where we had our market cycle top. And then we started to hold this yellow line or green line as resistance. And then we came back down to the yellow line in the RSI. And at the same time, we had not one, not two, but 3 consecutive fake out stochastic RSIs, which we've just had. We've had not one, not two, and we're potentially in the midst of our third. What happened back here was not good. We broke this yellow line, adding multiple months of recovery, which I told you, 44.44. Watch it like a hawk. We do not want to break that. But this could be some not so friendly signs in the market. It's not often you have a few consecutive fake out stochastic RSI cross ups. They typically happen like clockwork every 6 months, which marks the biggest move of that 6-month period. You know, we only get it twice a year, and it represents the biggest gains of the year, plain and simple. But again, in 2018, we were making a high, a lower high, another lower high, another lower high, another lower high, and another lower high in price. Sound familiar? What have we done since 74? A lower high, another lower high, another lower high, another lower high. So Bitcoin, as I said a few weeks ago, the only thing it really needs to do is get above this 71, 72K. It has to take out this swing high of July. If it does that, it's on the verge of really defining a trend reversal back to the upside. And that's going to be driven by the stochastic RSI, that thing's got to point to the upside. And we've got to get above 71, 72K. And then we could say goodbye to this ever happening. If we don't, we're going to end up in a similar situation where we literally could not make any higher highs for months and months and months. That's why we broke down. We don't want that to happen. We've been consolidating for a couple hundred days, making continuous lower highs. We need to make a higher high. It's got to happen. We're starting that early trend in the RSI. And if that continues and we see it in price action, we're going to see a trend reversal to the upside. And we're going to be out of this mess that we've been in for a couple hundred days. Hit that subscribe button, leave your comment down below, throw a like on this video, and I'll see you right back here in the next video. This bull run is our road to 500,000 subscribers, but I need your help. Today, tell one person about our YouTube channel, how we spit facts, go against the herd, take no paid sponsorships of any kind. Road to 500,000, let's go.